Okay, I'm going to start prepping up a turkey to deep fry later on. What I've done so far is actually just unwrapped it. This is actually just a little butter ball, which I actually got for 50 cents a pound from Walmart when they were just basically clearing them out of the store. But like I say, what I've done so far is actually there's a gravy packet that actually comes with the turkey. This one anyway, and the turkey's neck was also in here. Basically, obviously, I could probably use the gravy later on. Oops. To since when you deep fry a turkey, you usually don't have any way to make gravy unless because frying obviously doesn't leave any juice behind or anything like that. So, but I guess all I'm going to do right now is actually put this rub on the turkey, which actually is just a combination of like brown sugar, salt, I think oregano, garlic, salt, onion powder, that kind of stuff. And then it's all based, basically has brown sugar. There, usually what it does is it does add flavor, but it also helps the seasoning to the turkey. So like I said, I basically had this in the refrigerator thawing out, which is probably the best way to thaw something out is slowly, so that actually it doesn't get pathogens start growing in it quicker than they normally should. But I did have to take it out because obviously there's still some ice and frost in the turkey that you want to actually try to thaw out and the turkey to kind of dry out. So you can see it's actually still dripping here, but what I'm actually going to do is try to drain as much of the liquid off the turkey or from thawing out as I can, but it's not going to ever be perfect. But what I'm going to do is after that, I'm just basically going to start seasoning this turkey, and then I'll just put it back in the refrigerator and just let it sit in the refrigerator, and maybe it'll more or less dry out. And the skin will become dry, and you obviously want more seasoning on there than what you would think, because obviously a lot of it, when you put it in the deep fryer, is going to come off, and but you want to have a lot, so actually it does tend to permeate the chicken or the turkey into through the skin into the meat. That usually I just basically leave it in the refrigerator like this. I'll put the spice rub on it and let it sit in the refrigerator for possibly a day or two. In reality, it's still thawing out, and then I'll take it out later and I'll put some more rub on it, and then let it sit in there for maybe longer. So essentially, I may have the turkey still continue to thaw out and dry out in the refrigerator for possibly 3 to 4 days before I actually deep fry it. By doing that, actually, it does make it safer, because obviously you don't want all that liquid when you drop it into the deep fryer, because either a frozen turkey or a very wet, moist turkey, will cause obviously the fryer oil to to just basically bubble up, and on an open fire, that oil coming over the side of the pot obviously is what causes most of the people that actually may have even lost their homes because they were frying a turkey out in the garage. So in reality, I do use a fryer that I can actually use inside, but like I say, I take many steps to try to make sure that the turkey is dry and has enough time to actually get seasoned well before I actually ever drop it in the fryer, which I'll probably, like I say, be doing you know, probably towards the end of the week. And then, you know, at the same time, I'll be making some simple wildlife stuffing to go along with it, and some mashed potatoes, and maybe some corn. But okay, today's a big day. I'm going to fry the turkey. What I did actually is take the turkey out of the refrigerator and removed it from the pan that it's in, and then just put it into the fryer basket. The whole point of doing that is obviously it still has a lot of liquid or moisture, blood, water, everything else in the bottom of the pan. So what I want to do is just basically see if I can drain off a little bit more liquid, because obviously, you know, that can cause a big bubble up as far as the fryer goes. So the dry the turkey before you fry it, the better. So I'll be back when we start the frying process. Okay, I got my the turkey in the basket on the fryer. The oil's heating up. I just got done changing the oil. I used canola oil, basically great value from Walmart. Canola oil. You know, it takes about 2 gallons for this specific butterball fryer to fill it up. I probably, you know, 2 gallons is like I say, slightly more than what it needs. I use canola oil because it's pretty much just the cheapest oil you can actually get. You know, when I researched, you know, the biggest thing they say, you know, about oil is the smoke point. But when you're using a fryer like this, it actually doesn't, you know, obviously it's better regulated than if you're outside, you know, trying to heat up oil on a propane burner. So once it actually gets to 375 degrees, you know, the light will come on and tell you that it's that temperature, but it actually never cooks any higher than 375 degrees. The flash point, or I'm sorry, not the flash point, the smoke point on a lot of oils is, you know, kind of ranges between, you know, the high 300s to 450, 500 degrees. And you know, when I looked at it, some sites actually said that you should use peanut oil. And I guess I don't see the logic of it. I guess, you know, I haven't looked at it a lot. But the thing is that peanut oil is obviously the most expensive oil you can buy. And as far as frying and stuff like that, I don't think there's any difference between frying a turkey in canola oil, vegetable oil, or peanut oil. It's possibly just, you know, how long the oil will last. For me, actually, I probably can use the oil for quite a long time. And you really only change it once, you know, I know that there's a lot of flour, breadcrumbs, batter kind of stuff that's actually, you know, settled on the bottom of the fryer. And so essentially, you know, that all that crud might be taking up some of the volume of the oil, and you actually only have a gallon or a gallon and a half oil really in the fryer. And, you know, obviously it might be, you know, kind of really dark, but you know, like I say, I can use it for a long time. If the oil actually is hot enough, obviously it's not, you know, it's not going to bring on a lot of that flavor of, you know, what the oil, what may have been fried in the oil. It's just basically going to be, you know, tasteful like what you fried. So obviously the turkeys, you know, if I would have fried this a while ago, it would still, you know, it wouldn't taste like shrimp just because I fried shrimp in fryer. But the fryer is almost the temperature here. I guess that I'm just looking. You know, that I kind of cheated there, but you know, you can see that the green light went off, or, you know, come on, and that's actually, you know, the point when they actually can start dropping the turkey in the fryer. So what I'm going to do is actually just, I got gloves, and I'm usually supposed to have this little, it's a hook that hooks on the top of these rails here, so you can drop the turkey down there, but I actually misplaced it, so I'm going to just do without it. But what you need to be able to do is be able to drop the turkey into the fryer slowly so that it doesn't bubble up really fast, and maybe possibly go over the sides of the container the oil's in. So I'm just slowly lowering it down into the oil, monitoring how the water or the oil is bubbling up because of the water content still on the turkey, and but it doesn't actually take that terribly long for that water to evaporate off from the oil. So but like I say, I guess I'm just being kind of careful and dropping down there slowly so I don't really have any accidents with the water or the oil boiling over the side of the container. So at this point, I'm frying the turkey. Obviously the bubbling might go down a little bit after, like I said, some of the water is cooked off of it, but it will never completely be without bubbling as long as the turkey is cooking through, because obviously the moisture comes out of the meat as it's cooked. That's water that actually makes the oil boil. So essentially, it looks kind of fine. So what I'm doing is basically just cover it up. Normal time for frying a turkey is usually, I think they say that it's 4.5 minutes per pound. The turkey that I actually just put in there is actually just slightly less than 8 pounds. And so I actually probably have to fry it, so if we just make the math easy, we'll just say 4 minutes per pound, that would be about 32 minutes. Or if it was 5 minutes per pound, obviously it would be 40 minutes. So I'm probably gonna fry it for about 35 to 40 minutes before taking it out. But from here, I'm gonna go back to the stove and I'm making dressing and then gravy and the mashed potatoes to go along with it. I'm going to show you about making wild rice dressing. I got wild rice. I think this was bought at Cabela's, but I don't know how long ago. Doesn't really matter. It's just basically wild rice. It's been dried. Actually put that into a pot. So I think about 3 cups of water. And what I'm going to use actually is stovetop turkey stuffing mix. With that, once the wild rice is cooked enough, in another pot, I got this package of drippings, which I guess is basically the gravy, which according to the instructions, you use a 1 3/4 cups of total liquid, and then basically just heat it up and continue to stir it until it's actually thickened. Then it's ready to go. I'll just pretty much be making some instant mashed potatoes. So with the wild rice, I'd have to wait until it's, it's probably fairly cooked right now, but and it is soft now. But what I'm going to do is actually just boil it until it splits open, and then according to the directions with the stuffing, you have to use 1.5 cups of water. So I'm just going to try to have 1.5 cups of liquid left in here. But I think by the time the white rice is completely cooked, I'm going to have very little liquid left. And then I'll basically just have to add to get about 1.5 cups of total water in there. And then the only other thing it calls for is 3 tablespoons of butter or margarine. So I just basically what I'm doing. Basically, the instructions are um, heat up a cup and a half water with 4 tablespoons of butter, margarine. Um, Put the seasoning and the stuffing mix in there, cover it, and let it sit for 5 minutes. And then take the cover off, fluff it up, and then it should be ready to go. So the only thing I'm really doing that's unique is obviously I'm cooking rice, which will actually give it more volume, and the liquid from the rice is actually going to give it much more flavor. But it's pretty easy to do if you have the rice around. So I'll be back with you in a bit. I finished turkey. I guess it probably was in there for about possibly about 40 minutes. I would hope it's done. Got everything else ready to go. So I'm just going to plate everything up. They usually say that you should let meat rest because I don't know what it's more tender or more juicy or whatever, but I think that I've read, and I don't go along with that because the minute you cut up the meat and stuff like that, obviously the moisture is actually going to be evaporating or draining out of the meat, and so it will probably become more dry, logically. But essentially, the turkey is done. Have a couple wings. Leg. What I do is split this in half. And you can see that I deep fried the giblets too. Haven't hurt anything. I guess it just retains liquid inside of it. I think it's wax coated too, so I just didn't see it. Not a biggie. So, but I'm just gonna actually just take and get myself some of the breast meat. You can see the meat is fully done. Usually the last thing to get cooked is obviously the breast meat, especially with deep frying.